Hey guys.
Hey, how are you?
Good. How are you guys doing?
Doing well. Doing
Good.
well. Hanging in there.
And the pups? How are the pups doing?
Pups are great.
Yeah, they're doing great.
Yeah.
That's so awesome. Wait, can I see them?
Yeah.
Can I see
Here's
them?
Ender over there. Can you see?
Oh my gosh. Look.
He likes to be far away from us, and then Pepper's here on my knee. This pretty much sums up their personalities.
That's so awesome. Look how, oh my God, they're both so great and so different.
I know, right? And like this was inconceivable maybe even 2 months ago. Just like Ender laying there, not even tethered, and Pepper in the same room, just hanging out.
You've done so much good work.
You did so much good work.
I can only do so much. You're living with them, so.
It actually feels like they're siblings now. Like they kind of understand that they're all part of the same family, which is cool. Just seeing how they kind of interact with each other. It's been pretty cool to watch during quarantine.
That's
yeah. Quarantine in particular has been really good for them because they usually Ender, we only have him every other week because my ex-husband has him on the off weeks. And during quarantine, we've been having him longer than usual. So we've had him, I guess, for 3 weeks now. And it feels like we were a little worried about it. Like, oh, we have to go 3 weeks, both dogs. They've only been living together. We're on the month 3 off and on. And so, but the 3 weeks have been really good because I feel like we've been able to create more of a pattern and a rhythm, and they've been able to get more used to each other.
That's
so it's actually been better. Yeah.
That's so good. I know. I was thinking, I can't believe it was like January 1st.
I know. New Year's Day.
New Year's Day.
Yeah.
That's
crazy. And before that, they'd only met each other, I would say, maybe once or twice a week on walks, out and about. And they'd never been in the same really, except for one time, I think, under the same roof. So.
Whoa.
Yeah. I know. It's a big deal.
Strides. This is
a
huge deal. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I'm so happy. So if you could show us, well, let's talk about the different dogs. How they're
What should we talk about first?
Why this is especially exciting. So let's talk about Mr. Man first.
Ender Man?
Yeah.
Special Ender.
Uh-huh.
Get down to his level.
Oh, the best boy.
Tanky.
Still.
Yeah. So Ender has a kind of a interesting history of he, has been anxious aggressive basically since he was about a year old. So we adopted him when he was a year old, and when he was about 8 weeks old, and around a year old, he started to exhibit signs of anxious aggressiveness, even toward us. So it's been like kind of a difficult path with him, and we weren't sure for a while if we'd be able to keep him, but we got him on meds that really worked for him, and he's like a different dog now, but never really liked other dogs at all. So since a year old, he's been, he'd see a dog on the street, and for the most part, it had a very anxious aggressive reaction, end of his leash, barking. And so you helped us last year to just introduce the dogs initially, and we started that by just going on walks. And Ender, for some reason, I don't know if it was just he knew what Pepper smelled like because of Kenny. I don't know what it was, but he adapted and just didn't seem to have that kind of aggression toward Pepper. So
nice. And how old was he when we started that? Was he like 8?
He was 7. So he just turned 8 on actually New Year's Day when they moved in together.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
What a year.
I know, right?
And
talk about Pepper?
And then let's talk about Pepper.
Yeah, so Pepper she's 2 now. She was a rescue from the Pasadena Humane Society. I got her last year. She's a pit bull, some sort of German Shepherd, maybe a little bit of Lab or Great Dane. But anyway, she's a big, goofy, floppy dog. She's very strong-headed. And so I was a little concerned because she's so big, and she was a little aggressive when I got her at first, like kind of would snarl and charge at anything on the street, like people and dogs.
Yeah.
It wasn't like, it was more defensive than forwardly aggressive.
It was like leash aggression as opposed to a broader, like sort of anxious aggressiveness. Yeah. Which she is, it's calmed down lately, with
but,
that.
Yeah, but we did a lot of work with Pepper last year when I was living downtown in the Arts District. And so, Christina, obviously helped me there a ton. And so she's really chilled out and become like a really great dog. Like the other day I was just walking her in the park and like, a little kid came up to her and like she just instinctively just sat and just waited and let the kid pet her and her ears pinned back in like in the most gentle manner. So we're really happy with how she's progressed.
Awesome.
Yeah, we were concerned though because she is not great with other dogs, or she wasn't great with other dogs. But again,
on leash though,
Yeah,
usually
on
Pepper
leash.
goes to off leash daycare, and she doesn't have the same issues
Yeah.
that Ender has with dogs. So
yeah, more of an on leash thing. But they've gotten along great.
I think in part because of Pepper, and she seems completely unfazed. Ender is about the most reactive dog you could have. Like if Pepper gets too close to him, he will snarl at her. And I think if you had a different dog than Pepper, this might be a different scenario. But because Pepper seems completely unfazed, she just backs up if anything happens. She never gets into a fight with Ender. So part of it, I think, is the two dogs' personalities.
Sure. I mean, I'm surprised. I'm a little surprised that Pepper is so like, okay. Just
I am
she's
too.
so
I mean,
excited. She's such a
she is, and can be a reactive dog outside of the home, and
yeah.
Even to us, she would never bite us. She's not that, but she will show her displeasure with things. But with Ender, it's just, I don't know if it's because she's 2 and he's 8, and she just knows like he's older.
Right.
For whatever reason, she just like defers to him completely.
Yeah.
So.
And you guys have been doing the work.
A lot of work.
Well, we started out very carefully, thanks to your recommendation. I think Kenny and I had kind of different ideas about how it might go when we integrated the dogs, and I'm just naturally a little more cautious, and Kenny's a little more like, let's just like throw them in there and see what happens. And thanks to Christina, she came over, and you said it would probably not be the best idea to just let them figure it out themselves. So we went through a pretty rigorous management process of making sure that the dogs didn't have to make those decisions for themselves, that we would make the decisions for them about where their space was, what was safe. And we mostly did that with a few different things that you recommended. One was,
can we see them?
Yeah, one is baby gates. They are up all over our house. So we have a really tall one right here. Can you see it?
Yes.
So this one separates like half the house from the kitchen and the living room. And then the other one here is on the kitchen, and it's a shorter one, but these are really important because it allows us to kind of keep the dogs separate when they need time and space. And initially they needed a lot of their own time and space. So we could have both dogs on this side of the house in the kitchen and living room, or we could have them on opposite sides of the house. And initially that was a little hard for them. They didn't like being separated, but over time it helped with their frustration tolerance, and they grew to kind of understand that was just the norm. And then in addition to that, we have tethers all over the house.
Yay, tethers.
Can you see it?
Yeah.
Okay, we've got them like attached to, and Pep is actually currently tethered right now to this one on the couch right here.
Awesome.
And we have them on both sides of our bed. So at night, until very recently, both dogs were also tethered on either side of the bed when we slept, because obviously if you're sleeping, you don't know if a dog's going to wake up and go to the dog. So for the most part, they've been frequently tethered or separated by a gate for like the last 3 months, and then even up to very recently, the 3 weeks of quarantine, when they've been together a lot more. And it's just prevented the dogs from, I think, feeling like they have to like snap at each other or, somehow claim their space. Instead, we put them where they go, and they don't have to make those decisions. So
it's so great.
It's been good.
Out for them. You took the stress away.
I think we were really nervous. I think Kenny especially, about how much work it would be, how hard it would be to like manage the gates and make sure they're closed. And it turns out that it was, especially at first, I think hard to get used to, maybe for like the first few weeks.
Still bang into it once in a while.
Yeah, we're still banging. But we got used to it faster than you'd think. And now there's just kind of like routine, like Ender's always in the kitchen in the morning when I make breakfast, and Pepper's always on the couch, and it just kind of worked out that way, and they mostly tolerate it pretty well. So
it was also good though, because I think Pepper had to learn. The reason why I was more like, just let him figure it out, because I feel like Pepper needs to eventually learn Ender's space boundaries. But given how reactive Ender can be, it's been good to have the gates up, because they have gotten face to face, and he will growl at her, but it's in the place where we know that nothing can happen because the gate's there. And then we see Pepper kind of like, oh, okay, he doesn't like it when he's lying down on the other side if I get too close to his face. So she's figuring out his boundaries naturally by getting growled at but there's
with the barrier, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, great.
So it's kind of like a almost unimaginably good outcome. And now we're to the point where Pepper is often tethered to the couch, but Ender can be just on a leash because he doesn't approach her, and they can just kind of hang out in the same space. And we keep an eye on them.
Sure.
But I will say yesterday we had a foldable gate up at the doorway, and Ender was on the other side and Pepper was over here, and she knocked it over when I was in the bathroom. And I went out there and they were just standing there panting and staring at each other, and nothing happened. So
that's so I don't know what to do with this situation.
I heard one bark, and it was almost like a surprise bark. I think it was when the gate knocked over and Ender jumped up, and then Pepper just like was standing there staring at him, and he was staring at her, and there was no hackles up or anything. It was just like, oh, we're in the same space. Right. And, nobody panicked, and we separated them, but I think because they're so used to each other, and we also made sure that stuff never happened initially, where there was like more of a chance that they might get into something. So.
Oh, that's awesome. I mean, so happy and proud.
Well, we are so grateful to you for helping us figure this out. I honestly, if you had asked me like 3 years ago, do I ever think Ender would be a dog that lives in a house with another dog who can like sleep peacefully in a bed while there's another dog on the couch? Like I would have said, no, not in a million years. There's no chance. So, and I think if we tried to do it too quickly, there still wouldn't be a chance, but with patience and a lot of careful management and not getting too frustrated, it's possible.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so great. This is like, it's the best. And I know there are probably a lot of people who are, I don't know, who are experiencing a similar situation or worried. And it's so nice to see like really positive end results. And it's still a process, right? It's
absolutely.
Ends really, but you
yeah,
did a great job.
Yeah, like putting in the work in the beginning, it feels like now it's a lot of it's on cruise control. So honestly, like part of it is like getting a dog. I'm like, I've already spent so much money just feeding them and taking them to daycare and training and toys and everything. And so the last thing I wanted to do is like, I don't want to give this dog any more of my time, like effort too. Like I take on 5-hour walks, but on top of that, I was like, and I got to watch her, set her up in the home. So I was a little afraid of that initially, but I think once we did it, like the first couple of weeks were annoying just because it was like, okay, do this, remember this. And then but that's all gone on cruise control now. And now it's like, life is so much more seamless.
And we're so glad, right, that we
it
put the
like,
time in.
Investment was totally worth it for like 8 years of peace.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Oh, well, all right, guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Christina.
Saturday, but thanks for letting me see the puppers. Being so good and sharing your story with us. And I'll see you soon, maybe over Zoom.
I know.
We'll do a drive-by.
Right. I'll just wave. Toss Ender a treat for me, and then give Pepper a hug for me. So
right, that's how it works.
All right. Bye, guys.
Bye.